My name is JC Farr. I'm a little under the weather tonight, but I'm going to try to do my best with my projecting my voice since we do not have a microphone. Welcome to our AP and Honors event. Tonight is meant to be informative. What we hope to do tonight is to provide you with the context, the background information, so that you are able to make decisions about your student's future. So you can get a realistic sense of what it's like to be in an AP class, the workload that a student will endure in order to be successful, and what it's like to potentially balance the various interests a student has versus your expectations as a parent and the course load that you would like for them to take. And so tonight we are very, very fortunate to have a number of different teachers who have shown up tonight, and I'm going to introduce them and invite them up to the front, and they can give you just a little bit of a glimpse in regards to the AP and Honors classes within testing. Okay, I'm going to invite them up. They're going to be able to tell you who they are, what AP and Honors they represent. Leah Herrera is here. She's passing around index cards, and so what we'll do is, as you think of questions, we will gather them, we will vet them, and at the end, we will answer a few of them towards the end. We're going to ask that you keep the questions sort of broad and not necessarily specific to your individual situation, which would call for, say, a counselor or someone to evaluate that much more closely. So we want you to think about questions that will benefit the entire group and that are not so specific that it won't benefit all that are in the room. So,
we're going to have some handouts with a list of all of the classes. If you would take one per unit, and then we'll also have this entire presentation videotaped and is on our website for you to print and look at home.
So this is not meant to be such a formal event so that people cannot answer questions. We want to make sure that we are answering all the questions that are out there and that this is very informative. So I'm going to start by introducing world languages, represented by Leah Ramsey. You can come up to the front.
This is the cold open.
Testing, test.
Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. So we offer both AP Spanish language and AP French language. On some years, we're also able to offer AP Spanish literature. It just depends on enrollment. Both courses, AP Spanish language and AP French language, require previous study up to 7-8, so 4 years of language study. And we really encourage students to pursue their study of the language at that level if they would like to continue, if that's what they're most into. We really encourage them to continue to study the language. Okay, thank you.
Mike Lavezzo, English Language Arts.
You notice I moved to the front.
I thought you wanted to go first.
Okay, so I'm Mike Lavezzo, English teacher leader, and we have 2 advanced placement courses, one in the junior year, which is AP Language and Composition, and then we have one in the senior year, which is AP English Literature and Composition. It's about to get all Jimi Hendrix on me. I can feel it. Anyway, so we have a lot of kids who take those two classes. It's probably, 65% or something, right, Miss Aviles? Yes. Something like that. And they do well on the assessment, the test, right? So there's a test. There's always an AP test to get the college credit. And we have about like a 75% passing rate on that, which is good. So what that means is that, a lot of students can handle the material, right? And it seems like most kids who want to take the course and who invest themselves in it get a lot out of both courses, all right? So the first one, the junior year course, what it's supposed to do, how many parents remember that freshman composition course in college? Everybody, you loved it, right? The C- on every paper, right? Anyway, that class is supposed to take the place of that course, right? So if you get the credit. And, that's what a lot of kids do. And then the lit course, there's also supposed to be, most colleges have that lit component too, it's a part of your general ed requirements, and it would fulfill that as well, all right? So composition class, it's an essay writing course, and it's supposed to make you well-versed in many different disciplines. So we dabble in nonfiction, in like science, history, philosophy. It's kind of all over the place to get students to be able to write in those different disciplines at the college level. And then AP Lit, it really is your traditional English literature class, right? Shakespeare, Dickens, the like, right? So that, I think, kids still take that, but, you'd want to be more invested in being into the art of literature and not just wanting to be ready to write at the college level. Okay? So that's it.
Zach Gilmore and Lisa House Hicks.
I'm Lisa. This is Zach. I am the teacher leader for the Fine Arts Department, and I teach ceramics. In ceramics, we offer honors and the AP Ceramics course, which is AP Studio Art 3D. The way that we have it set up between the honors and the AP is that the honors course is sort of the preparation or pre-AP curriculum so that the students have a good 2 years to complete a portfolio. The test for all the art courses, AP art courses, is a portfolio that gets digitally sent in for ceramics, and then 5 pieces.
Yes, 5 pieces for either the 2D, Studio 2D, or Studio Drawing. You actually have 24 pieces digitally, and then 5 pieces are chosen and actually have to be physically sent in. There are returned in the summer, but usually, so, well, always, but if you fill it out right.
Yeah. And so the courses at the AP level are geared towards this portfolio. Students who take the course, some of them feel a little overwhelmed by the expectations and maybe don't want to complete turning in the portfolio. However, they still are required to meet the requirements of the class, so they still have to do the work of the portfolio. Let's see, anything deep and meaningful?
The only other difference or thing is, so ceramics is a 3D portfolio. Then there is a 2D portfolio, which is also included. We have sort of a division of that. We have a specific photo, and that would be AP Studio 2D, and you would be photo, and you would do specifically photo, and then there's also, though, 2 things that can be done otherwise, which are Studio Drawing or Studio 2D that's non-photo. So there's really 3 AP studios, but we split the 2D because you could be doing photo work or non-photo work. And it would depend on if you had been in photo, done the progression there from honors and on, or if you had been in the more drawing and painting, graphic design mindset and done that version of 2D or drawing.
And I think the one thing that we want to get across is that students who are really into the, really interested in the visual arts and are interested in pursuing, more than sort of a general dabbling in the discipline they choose. They're the students who really are going to get their teeth sunk into the honors and into the AP, and also to know that we generally, well, always have the honors geared towards the juniors so that they have that year to prepare for their senior year as an AP student. However, there are students who get to one of our disciplines maybe as a sophomore or as a junior, and then we do allow those students to take the honors course as well. Then seniors for the AP, and then there's enough time then for people to really pursue and develop their interests. That's good enough.
Tall, and I'm not. All right, so Claire Ernst from Social Studies. We offer 2 honors courses and 2 AP classes. So I guess I'll talk about the honors first. As sophomores, students have honors world history available to them, and that is embedded inside a regular world history class. So it's part of the core program, right? They have the same social studies and English teacher for freshman and sophomore year. And if they enroll in honors world history, that does appear as a separate course on their transcript. It does do all the things that an honor class does. But they're in the same classroom with everybody else. We also offer honors U.S. history to students in the AIM program, so that if a student is in AIM, they have the option of enrolling in honors U.S. history. And then we have 2 AP classes, AP U.S. history and AP European history. Typically, AP U.S. is a juniors are enrolled in that class, and they would be taking that rather than regular U.S. history. And AP European history is an elective for juniors or seniors, and increasingly we sort of have a mix, mostly seniors, but I'm teaching it this year, and we have a good handful of brave juniors who are taking U.S. history and European history at the same time. So there is, and I know it's on the matrix for U.S. history, there is a written entrance exam. It's a kind of a cold thing, go at lunch, write something. And then for both classes, entrance in the class tends to mean that we look for feedback from English and social studies teachers. Grace wanted me to talk about homework load. And especially in a history class, what this means in either U.S. or European history is that you will read more pages, both on sort of a night. So I would guess homework on an average night is 45 minutes to an hour. You do a lot more writing and read a far depth sort of range of kinds of texts and cover. I should say both of those classes cover a much broader period of history than the non-honors class or non-honors or AP classes. So U.S. history, AP U.S. starts with the colonial era to roughly present day, but non-AP U.S. starts roughly with Reconstruction. And AP European history is 1450 to present day and the entire continent of Europe. So that's it. That's all. And they're great classes. And I know that Laura Garrett and myself are always, we want to make the classes available to as many people as are interested and are, equipped to and enjoy doing the reading. That's about it.
Hi, good evening. I'm Jenny Brown. I'm the teacher leader for the science department, and I currently am teaching honors physiology in a new course called biomedical sciences, which is not an honors course, but it's an upper division course. So we have quite a few different course offerings for honors and AP in science, and it's on the second page of the matrix here. We start off with an Honors Integrated Science 3-4 course. That is for sophomores. And I just wanted to say that for all of these courses, except for some AP that I'll point out to you, we do also have the regular courses, which are perfectly fine too. But we have the honors courses kind of coinciding with these courses. So Honors Integrated Science 3-4, that's for sophomores. We also offer honors chemistry and a regular chemistry course and an honors physics course. Usually what I see is kids will take their sophomore year either regular integrated science 3-4 and be done with it, or they'll double up their second year if they really are into science with something like integrated science and chemistry or physiology. We also offer an honors physics course that's usually geared towards mostly seniors, but some juniors with high-level math. We also have an honors physiology course, which is what I teach, which is offered to anyone from their sophomore, junior, and senior year with the prerequisites that are all listed there on the right side. So then in terms of AP courses, the advanced placement courses, which as we now know are the college, the college courses in high school, we have an AP biology course, and that's a first year course so that kids can go into. We have an AP environmental science course, which kids can go straight into that without taking an environmental science. And then we have AP chemistry. AP chemistry is the only AP course in the science department that is a second year course. So kids would need to take either regular chemistry or honors chemistry before AP chemistry, because what we've seen in the past is without that background, the success rate on the AP exam was, it's just a pretty difficult course. So that's our only second year course. So these are our offerings.
Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year. Everybody's favorite subject, math. All right, we have 3 honors level courses: honors geometry, honors advanced algebra, and honors pre-calculus. Those classes are for those students that are not just good at math, but love math. They love to investigate math. They love to do projects that enrich their mind, dig deep into it. They do projects that actually require research and writing. They get to go outside and apply their mathematics to stuff that they wouldn't normally get to do in the general math course because there's so much extra material to learn. Let me explain that. In regular math, there's a list of topics that need to be covered in the classroom. In honors, students are at that level, that conceptual level of understanding where we can point them in the right direction and they can learn this stuff on their own, so we can spend more time doing the applied. Whereas a student that's not at that level needs a lot more classroom instruction for those topics. So that's the big difference between our honors program and our non-honors program. Then we move up the ladder to our 3 AP classes. We have AP Calculus, AB, AP Calculus, BC, and then AP Statistics. When you get to college, there are 4 primary calculus classes. Our Calculus AB course would represent the first college calculus course. Our Calculus BC course would represent the second. Many students will just take Calc BC instead of AB then BC. We're really proud of those students, but our most common track would be taking AB the first year and then taking BC the second year. I'd like to encourage students to take a look at our AP Statistics option. We don't have a lot of years in high school, but if you'd like to go the AP Statistics route instead of or concurrent with our AP Calculus route, that's an alternative. Almost every student is going to need some sort of statistics course once they get to college, so we'd like to encourage them to take it now. I say encourage because we haven't offered the course in 2 years because we've had fewer than 11 signups each year. So if we can get people excited about statistics again, then we can get that course populated and offer that course again.
Hi, so I'm Kelly Kennedy. I'm here to represent the Applied Tech Department, and I teach computer science and math. I teach the computer programming classes here at TAM, and I'm here to talk about the AP Computer Science A course, the traditional course in Java programming, and then also the new AP Computer Science Principles course that we're offering next year. We don't currently offer any honors courses through the Applied Tech Department, so the two AP classes that we have are both in computer science. Currently, I'm teaching the AP Computer Science A course. That's the traditional course in Java programming. It looks great on college resumes, but it's also a very difficult course. The content in the exam is typically very dry. It's foundational, so a lot of the algorithms that the students work through are sometimes not as applicable to what they may be asked to do in a programming class that's more applied to, say, app development for cell phones or for web applications. So the AP College Board decided that they would launch a second alternative AP class, AP Computer Science Principles, and this is a more project-based class. So we have the AP Computer Science A course, that's in Java programming. That will fulfill a traditional introductory to computer science prerequisite for an engineering major, or perhaps also for a computer science, obviously for a computer science major in college. So the traditional AP CSA course will fulfill those prerequisites for a major going into engineering or computer science in college. Also, from what I understand, a lot of medical schools are starting to require computer science as a prerequisite for the major, for pre-med, and for other subjects as well, because programming is becoming so integrated into the work that we do in other subjects, not just computer science. The alternative, though, and the course that I'm really excited about that we're offering next year is the AP Computer Science Principles course. This is, to be honest, an easier course. It's designed to be foundational. It's designed to come before the AP Computer Science A course, and it's project-based. And the language that I chose for this course is in Python. That, along with Java, are two of the most popular and most growing programming languages. And so the kids focus on Python, and half of the exam for the AP Principles course is project-based. So the kids submit a video of their projects, very similar to the AP art exams, from what I understand of those. And then there is a multiple choice component, but again, it's a little easier than the AP Computer Science A course. So this course is designed for students who might not know if they're interested in computer science and maybe want to try it out, or maybe they just want a project-based course where they get to write apps and look at how you can write graphical or create graphical user interfaces through Python. And it's really sort of designed to be a little bit more fun. There's a little bit less homework in the Principles course, and if your students are interested in computer science, and especially if they want to take 2 years of it, they should definitely take the Principles course before Computer Science A. It is possible to go into both courses without any computer science background. Students have seen success in both of those courses, and currently in my Computer Science A course without having taken computer science before. That is entirely possible. And if you look at the prerequisites for the courses, it will list the current computer programming classes that we offer. However, students can go into both of those courses, the Principles course, the new course next year, and Computer Science A with my approval. And I will gladly give them approval if they have interest in the subject. And as I mentioned before, it's entirely possible to jump into both of those subjects without any prior programming experience. Also, for the record, when we're done here, I have a handout just describing both courses, and it sort of lays out the difference between the two courses. So I'd be happy to answer any questions or to give you that handout when we're done here. Thank you.
We did get additional handouts. Does anybody need one? Raise your hand.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mr. Birkestrand, or as the students refer to me as Mr. New Counselor. So if you hear that, that's me. I'm here to kind of like tie it all together with some nuts and bolts. Sorry. Thank you. Sorry for those in the back. I had a corny joke to start off with, and I'll go with some nuts and bolts to talk about APs and honors classes. A lot of the stuff I'll cover tonight will be found online on our website. So go ahead and get started. To tie together kind of what they've been talking about, basically the difference between APs and honors is APs are college-based courses. They're there to prepare you for the AP tests, which can eventually get you college credit. And I'll let Ms. Stoner talk more about that later. Honors courses are courses developed by the district, by teachers in the district, and they're made to kind of like go more in depth into the material and in a wider kind of range of material. Let's see. So what the counseling department's been doing with all the grades, getting them prepared for these classes, is with the freshmen, we've kind of had the teachers go in and do presentations. The teachers like really taking control of that, and they're presenting in each class what it takes to get into those classes. You can also see that on the matrix that you have, like what dates the presentations are. They also have link leaders helping them out with registration. With sophomores, we've done these hour-long conferences with them in small groups. Sorry, I feel like I hear an echo. Is that all right? Cool. It's just me. Okay. Another Jimi Hendrix thing, I guess. So with the sophomores, we've done like hour-long conversations in small groups, kind of preparing them for like what the next 2 years are going to look like. That's already happened. We've talked about classes they want to take and answered questions in those groups. With the juniors, what we're doing is one-on-one presentation or one-on-one conversations with them. If you're a parent of a junior, you've probably received a letter from us with a date and a time to come meet with your counselor. And we'll go into depth like on a personal level of what your student should be getting ready for. So yeah, we'll answer a lot of questions in that time, and actually that's coming up in the next couple months. So if you've gotten that letter, look at it, look at the time, put it in your calendar, and that's a very important date. Also, so this is a lot of information the next 2 months to kind of like learn, understand, and get ready to start, taking action. And so the counselors will be in, I believe, the library, right? Computer lab during tutorial from February 6th to the 17th to help all the students who need, assistance selecting classes and registering for classes during that time. So February 6th through the 17th, counselors will be in the computer lab during tutorial to support the students in that. Also another resource. Since I'm new here, I've had to, learn a ton of information that's very particular to this school. And one of the resources that has helped me a lot understand this is the course catalog, which can be found on our website. You can just go on there, click, it's a link, pulls up this huge document, and I use the control find a lot. So like if I'm interested in science, control find, hit science, and it'll come up with, every science class, all that kind of stuff. So great resource. And I'm sure I'm forgetting something, so I'm sure Ms. Aviles will cover everything I'm missing. So thank you.
A lot of information, and maybe you're starting to feel a little flooded, and so you can identify with your students, because after listening, and all of these departments are so represented so well, and the students will be having, I think in science, they've already done the PowerPoint to review all the elective choices, and they get really excited, and that's kind of the beginning of the decision-making process, and thinking that there's going to be a perfect schedule out there that they have to dig deep to find. And what we encourage students to do, in addition to speaking with them individually, but because counselors have around 300 students on their caseload, we won't be able to meet with everyone between now and the scheduling. So you're going to get, through home access, the instructions how to schedule online between those February dates 2 weeks before the break. So that's when we're going to be assisting in the lab with them. But there's a lot of pressure that they're thinking about all these different choices and wanting, again, to position themselves in the best light. And again, we can't give them an exact number of what to take and how many to take. But what we do is help them explore, again, what they're curious about, what they're good at, what they love, and you as families and parents are, I'm sure, going to do the same. Many students at TAM succumb to the high-stakes achievement culture, and the academic performance pressure is real. But students that take the most AP and honors classes are not the winners here. College increasingly admit that achievement needs to be redefined in ways that create equity across multiple measures of creativity, ethical and intellectual maturity, leadership, giftedness, and qualities of character and involvement. But again, I'll allow Elizabeth to talk about the college piece. The decision now for students, and it's almost like I have to challenge them to reframe their thinking. think presently of high school. Think about the load. And when I meet my sophomores for small groups, I give them little packages of Smarties. And I say, be smart. This is a little metaphor. I want you to be thoughtful. I want you to talk to the teachers in these departments, and they can help you decide, in light of who you are now in their class, whether this is going to be too much or not challenging enough or not taking you in the direction that maybe you perceive it to take you. I talk about margin with students. And remember, and on the sheet of notebook papers, the little red lines and that keep you in the center and not have you writing to the very edge of the page. And I talk about emotional margin, physical margin, intellectual margin. If you overextend, it's going to be played out somewhere in your life. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the ways that shows up. And a little stress in moderation can be helpful for students and can indeed motivate them to study and do better. But too much can impact their body, their mind, and their emotional state. Those that overload because either they perceive that teacher's going to be an easy A, that's what they hear through the grapevine, or maybe they believe that they need that certain amount of APs to get into the specific college, or maybe they just miscalculate the amount of hours in the day. And if you take 4 APs, you're looking at 4 hours a night just in those classes, in addition to possibly pre-calc, or in addition to possibly language honors 7-8, or in addition to your sport, or your club activities, or your faith or civic duties that you're involved in and committed to. Those that end up overextending do have a physical impact, literally increased stress hormones, and that can be chronic and build up over time. Sometimes the mood will dysregulate. You'll start feeling so pressured and overwhelmed, things will feel darker. Sometimes, again, sleep is impacted, and oftentimes kids that take too many end up studying till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and your brain physically can't seal in and retain the information and then retrieve it on a test or a quiz. So sleep is critical. Sometimes students with stress cope in ways that end up being counterproductive and sabotaging, sometimes with substance, or sometimes taking risk, or having kind of habitual, like distorted thinking about something. Sometimes they just get burnt out faster because they've overextended. And sometimes literally they compromise their physical health and they get sick more often, and then things progress into other things. So what we try to encourage as counselors is to look at who you are in high school. Think about the load in high school. Don't be thinking so much about what might look good or what your friends are doing. I want to just read a couple of comments that kids tell me all the time. They end up maybe coming to this, I call it like the brick wall. Am I defined? Is my value what my GPA is? No, it's not. Don't believe that lie, because sometimes, again, the pressure to be at that highest level somehow is going to guarantee happiness or wholeness or likability, or have like the friends that are all smart and achieving. But again, it can really be counterproductive. Another one I hear all the time is my brother, my sister, my friend took 5 and they're in a great college, so I need to take 5. Or sometimes I hear, my parents really want me to take this one even though my interest isn't as good, but it's really going to look good because they really love this subject area. And that's well-intentioned, but please let your children make these decisions with your assistance as you explore, but don't project what you think. I have kids hitting mid-year saying, now I hate my classes. Or nothing seems fun anymore because I feel like I can't sleep and I can't, I got to swim less or play soccer less or make other decisions about things that relax me and revive me. I also have students that say, wow, I can't believe I've gotten my first C on my whole transcript or my first D in an honors or an AP course. So just be careful, be mindful. Go to all the meetings, marinate in the discussions. You don't have to make these decisions until February, whatever it is, 17th, the Friday before. And then you can change your mind, talk to your counselor, and hopefully you get your best guess in, but things can be changed. So in closing, and then Elizabeth's going to come, be smart. Strike an equilibrium between stress and relaxation, stimulation and rest. Play soccer, create art, clear a hiking trail, and challenge yourself academically in a way that grants margin, that really produces holistic health. And I know that sounds easy, and I know it's hard, but we're all in there together with you to support you. So, Elizabeth.
All right, we're going to move that back up. All right, so I am the college and career specialist here, and I am up here because a lot of the time when students are making choices about APs and honors, it's for college. And the first thing I want to say is that it's not for college, it's for high school, and it's for your high school experience. And the reason why I want to say that first is because one thing that colleges will be looking at is your transcript. And certain students who have made really mindful choices about the classes that they're taking, whether they're regular classes or honors classes, they're able to take a picture of themselves and present it to the college through the classes that they've picked on that transcript. And that's really powerful for a college admissions counselor to be able to see, wow, I can see how this student has experimented in something or really enjoyed or done well in something and then progressed in that. And there's a story that they get from that transcript. So it's really important that you're making choices for your high school experience and the person that you're developing and the story that you're telling through your academics. So I'm going to start with that. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about 3 myths about APs and honors and college. So the first one is that there's a certain number that you have to take. There isn't a certain number you have to take. What colleges are looking at, again, it's the transcript. They're seeing what you've taken, what you've done well with, and what choices you made. So they're going to see that you did really well in math. They're going to see that we offer quite a few math honors and APs, and they're going to wonder, right, why you didn't take it. Or they're going to see that you did. Or they're going to see that you did well in math and you also did really well in Spanish. And so you took the AP Spanish class, but maybe took a regular math class. And then hopefully what's going to happen is that you're going to have an essay that's going to talk about your interest in global studies, your interest in culture, and they're going to understand why you chose to take AP Spanish and maybe not take an AP or honors math class. So it's all about telling the story and exploring your interests. So there isn't a certain number of classes you have to take. It's about the classes that you want to take. The second myth is that there are certain AP classes that you should take that look good for college. There are going to be certain classes that translate really well into certain majors. So Kelly Kennedy brought up the engineering, right? If you know you're going into engineering, it's a really good idea to start taking some of those classes that create good foundation and skills. Similarly, in a lot of STEM majors, you'll see that there's a calculus requirement, right? So getting familiar with calculus is probably a good idea. However, if you're a humanities major, if you're going into English, maybe that AP Stat course is a really good way to get through your math requirement without having to go on the calculus train, which isn't right for some of us. So you really have to think about which ones make sense for your future and what you're thinking about, and which ones make sense for you right now. So there isn't a certain class that looks good. It really has to do with, again, the story that you're telling. So the third thing that I want to talk about, the third myth, is that all of these classes are going to help you get to graduation, college graduation, faster. Some of the classes are going to give you credit for a general education requirement. So it'll be your freshman English class that is replaced by getting a 4 or 5 on an AP test. For other classes, or for private universities that want to do things their own way, they might not accept those as a general education requirement. They might only accept it as elective requirement. So you get credit for it, but it doesn't necessarily move you along closer to graduation. So it's a really good thing when you start getting closer to that college application time, that you're looking at the colleges that you're thinking about applying to and checking out their graduation requirements, but also, their admissions requirements, but also checking to see which AP classes or which AP tests they might even be accepting to see what's going to work for you the best too. So those are I think the three biggest questions that I generally get about how to pick AP honors courses and what's going to look best for college. None of them are true. You really have to put in the work into looking at yourself and your interests and making great choices for your experience in high school. The other thing that I do want to talk about is the GPA boost. So I get a lot of questions about, well, if I take the honors and APs, that means that if I get a B in it, then it's really like getting an A, and then I have a higher GPA, and that means that I'm at the top of my class, and that means that the colleges know that, and that means I look better. Colleges rip apart your GPA for however they want to look at it. They don't necessarily just take what we report on the transcript and say, that's the GPA. UCs have a completely different GPA that they're looking at. Some schools will look at an unweighted GPA, and then they might transform it again in order to look at you in the context of your school, look at you in the context of the class that they're building, look at you next to this other student that they're thinking about. So as far as choosing an AP or honors only to boost your GPA, colleges are going to do whatever they want with it. So I'm sorry you don't have control. So that's another question that I get. The other question that I get is it better to take an AP class and do okay in it just to have an AP class, or is it better to do really well in a regular class? First and foremost, if you are really interested in the subject and your teachers think it's appropriate and your counselor thinks it's appropriate, then it's great to take an advanced course because they're really exciting and interesting. However, if you're only taking it because you think that you should or because you want to get into a good college, but you're not going to do well in it, a college would much rather see a good grade in a regular class than a poor grade in an AP class. Especially when you're looking at AP classes as being college level courses, they're seeing that you're not ready for a college level course yet. So you have to think about it in that light as well. So that being said, for me, and thinking about the best transcripts I've ever seen, they're the ones that have really shown a student's interest, shown character, shown experimentation in a really good way. And what I've really liked hearing from those students too is that they enjoyed their classes the whole way. It comes through in their essays, and it ultimately leads to finding a right fit college, which creates a better experience in the long run. So that's the college perspective about APs and honors. And then are we doing Q&A? Okay.
First question is, honors history an option in the AIM program?
The answer is yes, it is. I'm not the history teacher in AIM, but I am in AIM. Sherilyn Scharf is the history teacher, and she does have a honors option for U.S. history, which does require additional reading and writing. So she's got a kind of like a parallel extended curriculum that those students have to fulfill outside of the class. And in terms of the text, I think she also has a different, why am I answering this question? I mean, I was looked at. Do you want to take it from here, Doctor? You know, that whole thing stressed me out so much just listening to it that I got confused.
Okay, so honors US in AIM is, so Sharp does use a different textbook. It's a textbook that is typically used in a sort of introductory level U.S. history class at the college level. And so the course is more comprehensive and goes far more in depth than regular U.S. history, but doesn't quite approach the breadth of AP U.S. history, which isn't an option if you're in AIM. But it would fully prepare you and sort of entice anyone who loves history. You're going to go far more in depth. I know she does a lot of, in addition to the textbook, which is great, there's a lot of supplemental readings of both other history books, but also primary sources. And so it would certainly require, again, more time in terms of homework, especially because it's at that sort of accelerated, concentrated plan that is AIM in general. I think that's...
Okay, so the question is, has the decision about class ranking being eliminated been made? And the short answer is no, it hasn't been made, but to provide a little context,
I hope it does. My wish list. So for the last 6 years, the counselors across the district and all college and career specialists have been working towards eliminating rank completely. No longer do most of the neighboring private schools and even publics do rank. If you go to the Tam High district website and click on counseling and it's like 4 pages long, but if you could read that document on rank that we've put together, you'll have a deeper understanding why we feel as a department and as a district department, this does not help our students. And typically, just so you know what TAM's practice is, Redwood's a little different, Drake's a little different, but we all do something related to rank. We don't specifically rank at TAM, but I've been here 12 years, we've done it a long time even before that. We put students in clusters of deciles. So there's top 10%, top 20%. And what's so discouraging is that students that finish TAM with a 3.0, a B average, are in the 8th decile. And it is demoralizing for students. Our top GPA this past semester for our seniors was like a 4.58. So it's obscenely high because some students can manage multiple. But and I just wish you would read that, and I'm hoping, we're trying to get the word out. All different schools, the 3 different school comprehensives are trying to educate and also let parents and students know, but we're all trying to push to eliminate it completely because it really doesn't help our students. And colleges that don't receive a rank look at the application more holistically as well, so they consider it. So I'm hoping, this is just my wish list. It's going to be district, I'm not exactly sure, and I know that it's going to go, maybe, JC, do you know? I think it's going to eventually go to the superintendent and the board, and then we'll get some feedback then. I think the first step was to kind of put the word out and let everybody know that this is what we're hoping. So we'll update you as we have more information.
Didn't you say you're not doing those?
No. We all still are doing some kind, it's not a specific rank. At Drake they do a specific rank, but at Redwood and TAM we do 10%, a decile. So after the junior spring grades are in, fall of senior year, that will be the first time students are placed in a decile.
the next question is, what is honors French?
Seems almost like a philosophical question. I would say the primary difference between the honors courses and the regular courses across the board is that the students in the honors courses generally may have in mind that goal of being in an AP class their junior or senior year in language. So a bit more rigorous just in order to prepare them for the AP class.
Math, can a student take pre-calc and AP statistics at the same time?
The prerequisite for AP Stats, it's not encouraged, but yes, it can be done.
So, having a 10th grader in honors chem, would you recommend, this is for science, AP Chem in the 11th grade before other sciences?
Well, going back to the speech given by Grace and Elizabeth, for myself, when I talk to the kids about what courses they should take, you know, in quotes, my first question to them would be, do you love chemistry? Do you love it? Do you want to keep going and try that out more? And if they said, yeah, I love it, I would say, go for it, take it. And, you know, and then on the other hand, I would ask them, well, are there other sciences that you might be interested in exploring? You know, and kind of guide them to choose what fits them best and help them follow their bliss, basically. That would be my non-answer, I guess.
So I'm going to do a checking for understanding piece. How many people know the difference between AP and honors? Give me a thumbs up if you. Can you explain one more time, just so that we're clear?
Yeah, so the difference between AP and honors is AP is a college level course. College Board puts together these AP courses. They put together the curriculum, and College Board is the ones who has the AP exam. So the course is around passing that AP exam, and that potentially could be college credit at some point. Honors courses are developed by teachers in the district that have come together and thought, you know, what do our kids need? How do we get more in depth into this subject? How do we give them more information about the subject? And then they build a curriculum around that idea. And then it kind of differs based on each subject, how they kind of feel that is needed. Good? Okay. Can you please outline what the AIM program is, the qualifications, and when it starts?
Okay. All right, so AIM is an integrated academy, okay? It's actually right above us, and it combines 3 courses, English, and it's AP English. So if you're in AIM, you're taking those 2 advanced placement English courses I talked about before, and then U.S. history for 1 year, and then Econ Gov the next year in social studies. So you have an English social studies class, and then you have what essentially is a documentary filmmaking class. So like Tim Amix is right there. He would be a total AIM candidate right there behind the camera. Anyway, so we integrate it together, and it's project-based. Everything builds towards making a documentary in the fall around a theme, a common theme. So we made, the documentaries this semester. The theme was equity, and then in the spring, there's another theme, and everything builds and is kind of interconnected to that as well. So integrated, project-based academy, that's what it is. All right. And I think how do you get into it? Is that it? There's an application process, where you fill out a form that shows why you would want to pursue the subject, kind of similar to what Ms. Brown is asking her students to give her about science. And there's also recommendations from your core teachers, your English and social studies teachers, really relating to maturity, responsibility, and group work, like how you perform in a group, because so much of it, these students make films in teams of 4.
And I'm willing to give honors credit to anyone that can get our microphone situation. You can have it right now. You can sign up for my class. I'll give you credit at the end of the year. A couple more questions. Do colleges give credit for AP science courses?
Yes, they do. But I will say that it also depends on the class, it depends on the major, and it depends on the college. So I can say, this isn't necessarily for the science classes, but I can say that through my transferring from school to school to school, sometimes my AP classes were accepted, and sometimes I ended up having to retake classes. So it's really going to depend on where you're going, and also depending on the major as well. Sometimes again, I don't have any examples for the science class.
I have a personal example from myself. For example, when I went to UCSB for my undergrad, and I was a biology major, and I had taken AP biology and AP physics and whatnot, and I was great, I'm ready to go. And they said, oh, that's great, but we want you to take our biology and our physics. So I still had to take the courses. Now, that being said, I had a way better foundation for those introductory courses that are kind of known as the hard, weeder courses. So, yeah. Depends.
How do AP courses taken during the senior year help with college applications that are submitted before grades are published?
They do help. They do help, because what they see is that the student, even though they know that the student knows that the colleges might not have the grades, is choosing to take a challenging course in their senior year. So it helps in a qualitative way, in that the college is seeing that you're continuing to explore and challenge yourself. So that's sort of the nod that you'll get. And they do really appreciate that. They don't want it to be that you're like working so hard all the way through junior year, and then it's like, oh, well, you're not looking at it anymore, so I'm not going to do it. That definitely is not what they're looking for. So it helps in that. For some college deadlines, for the application deadlines, they're actually in the spring semester. They're the January 1st, 15th, even actually up until like February. So for those colleges, they would actually see your grades. And then for other colleges, they ask for a mid-year report for senior year. So they'll get a transcript after that December semester ends anyway. So they will see it eventually. But either way, continuing to explore your interests and take challenging courses always benefits you in some way. So.
Is honors U.S. history offered?
Honors U.S. History is only offered inside the AIM program. So if a student is not part of AIM, there is no honors option for U.S. History.
So are there any more questions? We have time for one or two. Do some honors courses boost GPA? For example, honors geometry doesn't. Which honors classes boost GPA?
So the rules do change a little bit depending on the school. But typically, for the UCs and CSUs, a 9th and 10th grade honors course is not calculated into the GPA. They see on the transcript that you took an honors, and they see the grade, but they don't necessarily give you the boost in that course, neither IS 3-4. And depending, some privates will, so it just kind of depends.
How many credits does integrated science get?
How many credits does what?
Integrated science get.
So every,
What's the question?
this question is how many credits does integrated science get? So a year of integrated science, again, I call it integrated science. IS 1-2 is freshman year. You get 10 credits for the full year. IS 3-4 that you take sophomore year, you also get 10 credits. So each class per semester is 5 credits.
I have a question. I noticed a lot of freshman parents here, and I was just wondering in terms of timing and in terms of maturity. I mean, I know every child is different, but is there greater success rates of kids enjoying passing classes when they take them in their junior and senior year versus a sophomore?
I can personally attest to, I have several sophomores in my honors physiology class that are completely ready for it. And it really just depends on the individual person, in their maturity level and the, their own passions. Yeah.
I concur.
Concur.
Can I ask a question? For kids tending towards the physiology, biochemistry, chemistry, so at what point should she take a serious physics course? So because physics informs a lot of those other sciences.
As our curriculum goes right now, there's a little bit of physics embedded into Integrated Science 1-2 for a little bit of that foundation. And then generally kids will take physics during if they decide to take physics, which is an upper division elective, they take that during their junior or their senior year. Right.
Give it up for our panelists. And this is just a reminder that any and all of our staff can be reached with their first initial, last name at tamdistrict.org. If you have questions that remain. We also want to thank the PTSA for sponsoring this event. Give them a hand. And have a good evening.